We're live.
Hello, Jen.
How are you? Yes, yes.
Oh, that's the thing. Oh, you got to get this right. Yeah, that's the spring of that. That's just pretty much. Thank you.
Insurance for that.
Just certainly that. My sugar is right. Just as well the power was
Did you find it?
Yeah.
Yep, got it.
You're right, technical lady.
Yeah, there you go. How's that?
Okay, good morning, folks. Welcome to Armchair Travel. This is all very new. Trish is getting technical. We're streaming live. Something only Trish.
Yes, we're live on YouTube.
Well, there you go.
And we're recording.
We're multi-megastars. Isn't that wonderful? Rhonda and I are happy this morning to share one of our travels with you. We
Lollipop.
I got pointed this way.
some years ago, we were fortunate enough to go to Alaska. Probably one of the nicest trips, the most exciting trips we ever did. We were going to do what everyone else does and hop on one of those big ships. But we went into Hello World and investigated. It was very expensive. And they also wanted half down 6 months before we left. So we were pondering. We weren't sure. And then a friend of ours, Graham Sargent, who some of you may know, he had been to Alaska with his wife, Lynn, and had met a travel agent over there called Sandy Rollins, who was involved with the adventure ferries. And it turned out that Sandy Rollins could organise this trip in person. And it didn't cost you as much, which suited us, of course, but it meant we did most of it ourselves. There was no escort. We had to get ourselves in between places. So back here in Horsham, we spoke to Chris, wasn't that time? Chris Wall, yeah. And he was good enough to organise our flights to and from the States, and also the hire of a car in Alaska. So basically what we did was drive to Alaska. Now, in preparation for the trip, we were going to Alaska, so we thought, it's going to be bloody cold, a bit like Horsham this morning. So we bought long johns, went on to Kathmandu and bought our long johns and all of those things for the cold weather. And by the time we got to Alaska, I was buying shorts and t-shirts. Because it was very, very different. Now.
Well, we can probably start now.
Yeah, well, we start our trip.
Well, we flew to Los Angeles. Sorry. Yeah, we flew to Los Angeles and then we flew across to Las Vegas and then we went up to Bellingham, which is in Washington State, and it's about 60 miles from Vancouver. And we've been to Bellingham before because in 1987 and 88, my brother was at the West Washington University and we had been to Bellingham. So we got there and the day after was July the 4th, which was interesting. Yeah, it was pretty much like Australia Day is here, isn't it? You know, people, having barbecues and things.
Well, it is as a self-disclosure. I'm an American. I'm also Australian. So 4th of July was pretty special time for me. We'll talk maybe a bit more about that later when we get to Washington DC. But
You can have a look at his expired.
yes, we were going to go to see Rhonda's brother, and so got our Australian passports and sent him to get the ESTA to go into the States, and Rhonda got hers. And I said, "You can't have one. You're a citizen." So I had to either renounce my American citizenship or get an American passport. Renouncing costs quite a lot more money than getting a passport. So I'm still guilty of being an American citizen. And of course, whenever we went around the States, it was quite easy for me, but a bit difficult for the foreigner. I had to wait customs. I had to wait. I just went through, you never know with these shifty Australians. So. Okay. Now on to the trip. Gee, it's warm here now. Is everybody warming up? Yeah. Bellingham.
Okay, so that's Bellingham. It's just a university town, I suppose. Yeah, and we can press on. Just sort of sites around Bellingham.
What's that one, Rhonda? Whereabouts are we in Bellingham there?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know?
There's going to be a bit of
There's a flag.
because it was a while ago.
That's near the water in Bellingham.
Just near the water? Cool.
Yeah. Okay, so then on July the 5th, we got on the ferry, which is, you think of a ferry as something that goes from, Port Arlington to Sorrento, but it was big. And Sandy, we were on that boat for 2 days, and Sandy booked us a twin cabin. So there were 2 bunks, there was a bunk and a bunk. So, we had plenty of room for our baggage.
Excuse me, inaccurate information. We had a cabin for 4.
Oh, yes, yeah.
We had bunk beds on either side.
Yeah.
Because Sandy decided that the smaller cabin with luggage was just a bit tight for us.
And it had its own, bathroom and shower and so on. And then there were cafes and restaurants on there. And they had the lower deck, all these big motorhomes and vehicles that went on. And there are obviously dogs in the dogs and cats, I suppose, in the motorhomes. And twice a day, people could go down to the car deck and get their dogs out, and been a bit messy, I'd say. And so it was very nice accommodation. And on the top deck, there were people in those little tents that they'd set up. So it's quite an operation. It's called the Marine Highway Ferries. And so then we're off.
Keep going. But very relaxing, Mike.
These are just things seen from the boat or the ferry as we're going along. And then that's a British Columbia ferry going in the opposite direction. Taste of the mountains to come. Still got that one shooting. Okay, now we'll stop now because this was the first place we stopped, called Ketchikan.
being in the ferry, we parked well out of Ketchikan because the main things were big ships. And so we had a fair walk in the Ketchikan itself. As you can see, it's built on almost on the side of a mountain. I wouldn't recommend it, but you got a bit older. But yeah, Trish. Famous. This is quite a well-known tunnel in Ketchikan through the mountains. Again, the height. You can see the height of the houses. Yeah, Trish. Yeah. It was a tunnel. Took a bit of working out there. We saw the sign. It's a historic tunnel.
So can people walk on the red side of it?
Yeah, you walk through there. Yes. That's one of the cruise ships. We were talking to one of the people from the cruise ship, and they were saying that they cruise during the night, and then sightsee during the day. So it does seem to. Yeah. This was on the outside of a house. Want to live here, not visiting somebody who does, stay out. If you're drunk and loitering, police will be called. There are little kids that live here. They don't need to see your drunkenness. Thanks. P.S. Quit fucking pissing on our steps. We had to take a photo of it. So, and again, this is still Ketchikan. I don't know who that is.
They had flights, going in and out, little flights, and lots of touristy shops, and it was really junky stuff. Whereas further into Alaska, a lot of the things that for sale were genuine items, and they had a little symbol on them that told you it was made in Alaska. But this Ketchikan, we didn't like it much at all. It was really just for these big cruise ships. Yeah.
Just go back one.
Go back one.
That's all right. Doesn't look like much, but the accommodation and the food is good in the restaurants. Yeah.
No tipping. You were not allowed to tip because they said the people got paid a certain wage and there was no tipping.
Which was fairly interesting because a lot of Australians complain that in the United States you're expected to tip, and it's added on. So to be over there and not tip was okay. This is again just on the boat.
This is in the first stop. The first stop was
Sorry, we're off the boat.
The first stop place was called Wrangell, which is WRAN. Yeah, and that was we stayed at a B&B, Leslie's B&B, and that was the view from sort of out of her lounge room window.
Oh, that's right.
And that's inside her lounge room. They had sort of things displayed. They hunted, and she had some nice breakfasts. Yeah. And she had this little thing outside the window, and the hummingbirds would come, and that's pretty spectacular. Yeah. Okay, so out from Wrangell, we did a couple of trips. Yeah. And this first one was to this area where the bears were fishing. And so it was about a half-hour boat ride.
There were only 30 people on this little tour. So it was just quite unique in that way. And as Rhonda said, about 30 minutes in boat, and then you walked for about a mile. You got to see the bears, which now we're going to have a look at.
Yeah, and it was a sort of a platform, and we were escorted by a couple of men with guns, and and so away they were. But most of the bears, when we first got there, were the black bears. And something was said about the brown bears, and I said to one of the men, what time do the brown bears come? There's a lot of this, so you can.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he said, oh, about 5 o'clock. He said, oh, what? But sure enough, at 5 o'clock, the black bears kind of disappeared and the brown bears came, which was interesting.
The significance of these pictures is that water you saw, the salmon was swimming up there, and the bears were catching, and you'll see leftovers. And that previous picture, the bears would leave their leftovers on the rock, and these fellows would fly down and tidy up. So it was a real team effort, I suppose.
You could get, well, I suppose I had some sort of a telescopic lens, but you could get quite close, within reason.
Good photo.
The claws. And so now, remembering this was 2013, and I said to one of the men escorting us, do you think the weather has changed? And he said it certainly has, because they used to take trips up the wild rivers. And he said, we can't do it anymore because it's so unpredictable when the snow is going to be melting and the flow in the rivers. And I thought that was an interesting comment, 13 years ago. That's the photo of the bald eagle. We were there for 3 hours, so there's lots of photos. And that's just further downstream from where we were. Now that's a juvenile eagle. And then came the brown bears. No, I love that photo. The little cubs coming along.
That one.
And the one before, yeah. Now, like you're told about the toilet.
That's the toilet. That's the toilet. You take close attention. Notice the hinges on the outside and the door opens outwards. That is because at one stage in the history of the place, the door opened inwards, but one of the bears got in there, couldn't get out again. A cup, that's right. So it caused all sorts of havoc anyway. So clearly they thought, we'll put the hinge on the other side so that they can't get trapped in there anymore. And there was also the hole in the door so you could see whether there was anyone in there. That's that bird.
This is Petersburg.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh. So another trip out of Wrangell was to this place called Petersburg, and we could just get on a boat, quite a few pictures of the icebergs. We thought the young fellow driving the boat went off during the day. We reckon he visited his girlfriend.
We had plenty of time to get a feed.
Yeah. And a glacier going down to the ocean.
Enjoying that.
When you get up close to the glaciers, you can actually hear little cracks. The breaking and moving,
Okay, so that's the town.
which is where the guy went to visit his girlfriend. That's right.
Okay, so after Wrangell, we got back onto another boat just for the day, and we headed up to Juneau. And I was desperate to get a photo of the sunset, but it took so long. You know how here you can go out and wait a few minutes, and I was waiting for ages. Now, when we got to Juneau, the place that somehow or other Sandy Rollins found out that it was close to our 30th wedding anniversary. And she said, I can book. This was at grandma's feathers bed. This place was called. And she booked the honeymoon suite. So we're only in Juneau for the day. Yes, press on. And Juneau's the only capital in the world that you can only get to either by flying or by water, by ocean. They're just some touring around a nice church with a lot of timber. Okay, so now it gets a bit confusing here, but we've got the car by this, and these are the musk ox, which apparently were wild and almost extinct until someone decided to domesticate them. And on the table there's a book of Arctic knitting, which I bought, and their fibre is extremely fine. I bought the book. I've never actually knitted anything. Looks pretty difficult to me, but that was just an interesting stock. And then some more water. Now we got to Talkeetna. Okay, do you want to talk about this?
Yes, yeah, just hold for a little while.
That one?
Yeah, we got to Talkeetna, and that's where the Mount McKinley is, which is the highest peak in that northern hemisphere. And as we're driving in, it was just lit up with sunshine, which you think, yeah, that's pretty good. But then we discovered it doesn't have it that often. It's not that often you can see the top of the mountain. So we were extremely lucky. And we went,
Mark said, going in a plane.
Yeah, that's right. We booked into our accommodation and then went straight to a place that organised a flight up around Mount McKinley. And these next few scenes are from the aeroplane. That's where glacier been worked its way down. And part of the deal was you landed there and got out of the aeroplane on the mountain, which clearly we had done. And they're the shorts that I bought when we first arrived. And I've still got that jumper.
Guess who fell over in the snow?
I did a snowstorm.
Now that's the pilot.
Oh yes, that's the pilot. So we said to him, well, what do you do? What do you do in the winter when you can't take people up here? He said, oh, I go to Hawaii and take people on flights there. What a horrible life.
They take people up onto the mountains and skiers, and they leave them there and they ski down. Now, we're getting a bit confused here.
Here we go.
Okay. Not sure. Oh, I don't know. I think this was out of Talkeetna. It was a press on fish. Now this was an old gold mining village, because there would have been gold mining that is now abandoned.
It's a bit like a variation of Sovereign Hill, but you know, a history mock-up type thing, really.
Now, I can't remember what they call those areas where the glaciers have been. Okay, so that was the vehicle we had, which was a good car. Yeah. And we need to tell you that when we picked up the car, we asked about what about a map? But every year they produce this quite a sizable book called the Milepost, and it has every piece of information every mile. So you're heading in that direction, and it will say, oh well, this cafe is closed for renovations until so and so, and you know, and there's loose curbing on the side of the road at here, and so you can follow it by mile, and you also got just a regular map, because I suppose that there's not probably the little roads in Alaska like we have here, and the roads were very good, and parts of the road, because they'd only have a certain amount of time to fix the roads, and if you came across some roadworks, you had to stop, and a vehicle would escort, a pilot car would escort you through the roadworks. Yeah, we struck that a couple of times. Now that tree is where a beaver's been at work. You can see where it's gnawed away. And so we went on a boat up a river, and they took us up to, this is category 5. You know how people do that white water rafting. Well, this is the category 5 white water rafting.
Rhonda loves being on boats.
Remember that one of the fellows escorting the trip on the boat told us they'd been walking in the woods, and he'd sat down laid up against the trunk of a tree and fell asleep. And when he woke up, this baby bear was looking at him, and he thought, "Where's the mother?" So they sort of stopped the boat and remmed it so we could see the rapids. Apparently the most dangerous animal over there is the moose, but they're pretty stupid, because apparently if you come across a moose, you can hide behind a tree, and because it can't see you, well, it forgets you're there. So that was a little trick we were told, although we didn't see many. What's the plural of moose? So these are just photos during the travels. That's a moose. we went on a trip into the Denali National Park. That was an escorted trip for the day. And the Americans get really excited seeing an animal or a bird. We didn't see many birds at all. And we remarked that in Australia, we see lots of birds and a fair few, go to Hall Scabbard, you can see all the kangaroos. But they would rush to the side of the bus if something was spotted and take numerous photos. And, it was interesting.
There was one stage they said, "Oh, there's a moose," and they all rushed to one side of the bus. And I'm sitting there looking, even if I could see anything, I really couldn't see. Even with, I got the binoculars and it looked like a speck in the distance. And I went, "Hey, this is great." It's a speck.
And this is Fairbanks, which is a fair-sized town, interesting place. And now this had been pre-arranged, a trip up to the Arctic Circle, and we had to be at this place at 5 o'clock in the morning. And that's the bus, and up the Dalton Highway. And so, do you want to talk about the oil? Bearing in mind there's permafrost all over in Alaska.
That pipe you can see is carrying oil. It's mined right up the very, very, very top. And to bring it down by truck was just considered unsatisfactory. Also, you could not do it year round because there's no access by road all year round. So this was this huge pipeline. You'll notice that underneath the pipe where it's sitting, those are actually springs it's sitting on. Because of the coldness and the movement, it allows for the pipe to actually move back and forth as a result of whatever the weather happens to be. So that was quite a feat of engineering because it goes for thousands of miles. That's the Yukon River, and that's a boat on the side of the Yukon River.
Are there shells on the bench?
No,
these don't.
I don't know.
There we go, the Arctic Circle.
That's the Arctic Circle. There's a question I can answer, Trish.
Did you meet Santa while you were up there?
Well, yes, we did. Yes,
Good.
I love that.
Cobbles.
I love that. No. It's the name of the road. There's that pipeline.
So we went up to the Arctic Circle on that bus and we flew back. Some people, I think, actually stayed. That was at Coldfoot, was the name of the place.
That's yeah.
And then this is travelling on. Just different places that you stop at on the way.
Do you want to go back to that?
Go back to that. Whichever one with the flowers. No, press on. Yeah.
That one? Or
No.
which way?
No, you're going the wrong way, Trish.
Go back again?
Okay, stop there. Now, those flowers, somewhere they told us that when the flowers start flowering, it's 6 weeks until the snow starts. I suppose it's one of those things that we have here in Australia, if the wind's coming from the east, it'll rain and all that sort of thing, And you're still going the wrong way, Trish.
I'm going forwards now.
All right.
I've seen these ones. What's that thing?
A bath.
Oh, okay.
Now we got to the place at the Black Rapids, and we got there reasonably early, and so the person at the place said, "Do you want to go for a walk?" I said, "Oh, okay." And she said, "Rowdy, that's the dog. Rowdy will take you." So off we went, and he took us on, and well, I don't know, was it about a couple of kilometres? And
Oh yeah, it took us through scrub, so he'd disappear, and you'd go around the bend, and there was Rowdy waiting, sort of saying, "Well, come on then, come on."
so this is the place we were staying at. Now there actually happened to be a wedding happening there that day, but we had the honeymoon suite. And the next day, the bridegroom said to us, "Oh, you had the honeymoon suite, did you?" It's
Left shortly.
quite a spectacular place.
How do they clean the windows way up there?
And it's sort of in the middle of nowhere, really. Yeah. And I think our room was the one right up the top, the honeymoon suite. And these are the views from that room. And you had to have a sunset, which of course was like about 10:30 at night. Just mountains everywhere. Okay, now this is moving on, and this is called the Matanushka Glacier. And as Trish moves on, we'll see how you could get quite close to it. You could actually walk onto it, which we didn't do. I don't think our travel insurance would have covered it if you'd fallen into something. That's all the sort of stuff left behind after it's moved on. And this was a school. Of course, nothing was happening because it was in the middle of July.
Place you here, what a original button.
Now, these are the little cabins we stayed at. Sheep Mountain Lodge, that was called. We went to a couple of markets on the way too, and one of them, because they obviously produce a lot of food, and one of the places had the biggest rhubarb I've ever seen. It's huge. This was a place where you could feed the deer, caribou.
So which one's Rudolph?
Now, this was a moose that apparently had been, I think that had been found as a young moose, and they have it there for the tourists, I guess. And guess what? You could feed it. And so Mike decided he would.
You could kiss it.
Kiss it, but go back to that one.
Kissing meant peel a banana, put half of it in your mouth, go up to the moose and then cook the banana. Touristy, yeah, I know, but
I hope they let it out of there at various times. Okay, so this is back at Anchorage, which is the main, well, I suppose it's, I don't know if it's the capital, the main.
Juneau's the capital.
Oh, that's
Juneau's the
right,
capital.
yeah.
So were they putting on a play? Or?
Yes, that, yeah, and then you could have a sort of like a sled ride around this place. And then more travels, and then we sort of went south. And so this is where a lot of the motorhomes and so on pull up. That I would find it very attractive. But yeah. Now at Seward, which is SEWARD, they had this sort of like an aquarium, and they had a very sophisticated way of drawing the water from the actual ocean, and that then heated the water in the aquarium. And though, just go back a bit, Trish, those that's a puffin, and you could see it dove down into the water and was down for ages.
They had a deep pool, and you could stand obviously on the outside at the bottom, and it would have been easily the depth of this ceiling, and the puffin, you could watch the puffin dive down, and it's incredible how that little fella could just stay down there and do whatever it needed to do for quite well over a minute before it just went back up again. It's fabulous to watch.
And then out of there, we did a boat trip. Sandy booked us into this place called the Falls. I think we were the only ones there, and yeah, and well, that's why it was called the Falls. That's at the back. Now, this is where we left to go on this boat trip, and we were promised that we would see some whales. Some friends of ours did that trip some other time and didn't see a one, but we saw some orcas, which was interesting. And of course, they went out and as you'll see, we saw glaciers. There's something different about glaciers that go into the ocean, and I can't remember what it was. This is where, as Mike said before, you could actually hear it cracking.
Yeah, that gives you an idea of the size of those things, because those boats aren't tiny. Yeah.
Okay, now we went down to Homer. That section going out into the bay is the Homer Spit, and you could actually drive out there. That was one place, you know how when you're travelling around and you're eating out all the time, but the place where we stayed, there was actually a stove, and we cooked our meal and we had mashed potatoes. Because, you know, something a bit, I just want some mashed potatoes. We had something else with it. And now this is where we met up with Sandy, and we realised that she had missed a day, because the itinerary, it was like a checkbook, and you had all these kind of vouchers. So when you got to a place, you gave them the voucher. It was a very good system. And so we realised that we were supposed to be back at Anchorage. You said she's missed a day. So we actually caught up with her. And so on the way back to Anchorage, this place is called Girdwood, and she booked accommodation and a little trip from Girdwood, which you'll see. So it was I don't think they do it anymore, but it was a brilliant system. Okay, so we went to this.
Just before you go, at Girdwood, shortly after we were there, we read in the paper that a fellow had been walking and come across a bear. Now, the fellow who was walking happened to have an AK-47, so he killed the bear. nice.
to walk around.
Just happened to be walking around with an AK-47.
Mm.
Crazy people. It's Americans and guns.
Okay, so this was, we had to get dressed up, as you can see, and into that little helicopter up into the mountains. Now, every year, you might have heard they have this race called the Iditarod. And actually, at the biggest morning tea, there was a woman there and she had a T-shirt that said Iditarod, and it's a race with the huskies or with the sled dogs, the dogs. And so in the summer, they've got this camp where they have the dogs and they train them. And so I think they said the trainers would go up for probably about 12 days and stay up there with the dogs and train. And they weren't pure huskies, they were mixed breed dogs. Mm. Okay, so now that man's, I think he's, so they hooked up a team for us.
Just go back one if you want, Trish. Yeah, it's pretty sure it's that dog lying down.
Oh,
It's just, I'm not doing anything until you tell me to. It was a real laid back butt. I don't know it. really had to be invited. Can't do anything.
I think that's him.
You can
Yeah, quite
face
what
off.
his name. And they all had certain jobs, like the ones in the front were the ones who did the turning and so on, and then the ones kind of in the middle were sort of like the muscle, and yeah, they all had specific jobs. So we sort of went on a bit of a circuit, and this looks like we were driving, but we weren't. It was a lot of fun. And to think that we weren't going to do this and it happened at the very last minute. It's pretty special. And then they had puppies.
Everybody loves a puppy.
Yeah.
And so back into the helicopter, and
And I never got to ride in front of the helicopter.
okay, now we stopped there. So we went back to Anchorage and we had a flight down to Vancouver. And so this is Vancouver. And this is right on the bay. These places were sort of built onto the water.
This was part of a day trip, but these people volunteered to lead, and you met at a certain point, and they would take you around, and at the end of the tour, you could decide how much money you would give them or not give them. And there was one English couple.
Be careful.
Well, yeah, but it was really incredible. They bickered over whether they'd give him $2 or $4, I think. And this was how this bloke made it, and he was really, really, really good. He knew his stuff, and because a lot of those little houses you saw, they were artists.
Yeah, that's
Like that one there, the orchestra in the sky. But it was just an interesting sort of concept of how much people value things.
yeah. So this was, they said, go to this Grantham Island where it used to be an industrial area, but it has been set up for artists and so on. And one of the places we went to, a woman was weaving with silk. And you'll have a, at the end, you can have a look. I bought one of her scarves. That was an interesting place. Yeah, very pretty. Oh, and part of the, we also went to this Sun Yat Sen garden, Chinese garden, which was interesting. So now from Vancouver, we got on the Via Rail that went from Vancouver to Toronto for 4 days. We were on the train, and you went down. You sort of got on late-ish in the day. You were only allowed to. Oh, now you better slow down, Trish. You only you had limited. Yeah, we only had to take one case. The other one went in the baggage carriage, and we had our own cabin that had a toilet and wash basin. You had to go sort of down the passage for a shower, and then there were other sections where there were sort of like bunk beds, and all meals and so on were provided. We were towards the back of the train, which worked out to be really quite good. And they made very nice gin and tonics, I must admit.
We were in the second last carriage. The last carriage was the one that had the observation deck above the top of it, and it also had the bar. So we were in a good Aussie. And as Rhonda said, they made great gin and tonics. Yeah.
And there's an American couple before lunch would sit up and have 2 Bloody Marys each, just to get things going.
Yeah, well before lunch.
So these are just scenes of as the train's going along. And so our train had to stop for the goods trains, which was interesting watching them go by. And at one stage we actually were able to get off, and that's it was a big train, big long train, and you can see the observation sort of pod at the top. Okay, so we went to Toronto and we had a Greyhound bus to Niagara Falls, which was an experience in itself. And so apparently the Canadian side is more exciting than the American side of Niagara Falls. So we've got a few photos there. We weren't overly impressed with the town of Niagara Falls, were we? In some horrible eating places. And Mike wanted to go to Hooters.
I wasn't allowed to.
They might have given Rhonda a job.
No.
So you could go onto the water, but of course you had to get togged up in all those plastic things. Now that bridge, that big bridge, is the Rainbow Bridge that goes across into the United States. And if you watch those, what do they call them, border crossing things on the TV, they often refer to the Rainbow Bridge that goes across to Buffalo. And that's down into the waterfall. What lake does it go into? Like
Erie.
Erie, yeah.
One of the Great Lakes, yeah.
Mm. Like I said, you wouldn't want to fall in, would you?
No. That's what?
Niagara Parks.
Mm.
Okay, so then we went across Buffalo and took a plane. We went first class, didn't we, Mike? Because we got to the airport and the woman said, you have to pay for your baggage. So if you want to go first class, which was about the same as it would have cost for the baggage, you don't have to pay for the baggage. So we flew first class, which really wasn't very exciting.
Slightly bigger seat.
Okay, so we flew down to Washington, DC.
Oh, is that the reflecting pool that's in the news?
Reflecting pool, yes.
Right.
Now,
Did they find the crack?
Yeah.
Didn't Trump drive his motor car through the pool when it was drained? Didn't Trump drive the motorcade in January or something through?
I was blaming somebody for it.
I know he's blaming somebody for it, but that's
It got algae.
yeah.
We went to Washington in 2011 and we stayed at this quite nice hotel. But we said to Chris for a while, well, look, we could have something a little bit more upmarket. So he booked us, just hold on, Trish, he booked us into the Fairmont, which was very nice. And
Yeah, so it was a hot day when we arrived, and being Australians, t-shirt and shorts, and we go. It's very, very proper place. It's sorted up for a room.
they were very welcome.
Okay.
Yes. Now this is, well, you've heard of a number of museums in Washington, the Smithsonian, and this is one of them. Which are all free. So these are just some photos taken at the Smithsonian. One of those butterfly houses like they have at the Melbourne Zoo. I think that's supposed to be a comparison between me and the elephant leg. Now, I'm not sure what that is. Might be finished.
Okay, right. Okay. Many moons ago, before I became an Australian, and while we still lived in the United States, my parents took me to Washington, DC, and my mother took me to the Smithsonian Institute, where I saw the skeleton of the Diplodocus. And for quite a long time after that, I was so proud. I must have been about 7 or 8. I was so proud that I could say Diplodocus, but I didn't stop saying what I was told to stop saying. But no, I got home and here we are at the baseball. I just popped back. We decided to go to baseball, and when we were being shown to our seats, we got seats behind home plate, and we were being shown down, and the guy picked us as Australians, and he showed us to our seats, and then he walked back, and he got about as far as the door, and he said, "Aussie, Aussie, Aussie," and we, "Oi, oi, oi." And I have to say, look, the Americans are very, very friendly people. Very friendly.
Actually, that was before we went in. This person, because we're all lined up, it was the Washington Nationals, and who was they playing? I can't remember.
Yeah,
and this fellow said, "If you do this, you're out. If you do that, you're out. If you do that, you're out."
Yeah, it was over the loudspeaker. It was talking about behaviour, and there was a young lad stepped in front of me or something at one stage. He said, "Oh, excuse me, sir." It was just, the insistence upon good behaviour. And dare I say it, we don't compare it to the president. It was the antithesis of good behaviour. But over there, the politeness and the adherence to tradition and formalities. We also, on another trip, attended the baseball at Yankee Stadium. And at one stage, I was coming back to the toilet. And
That was the 7th inning.
the 7th inning stretch. And they were playing one of the patriotic songs. And I didn't realise I still had the cap on and got tapped on the shoulder. Cap on, please, sir. So it's sort of an interesting contradiction between the way we experience the the Americans in their homeland and the day-to-day Americans and what we've been hearing lately. Anyway, I'll get off that, I'll be honest.
These are just scenes around Washington. The place we stayed at was in Georgetown, which was interesting, and that's around near where we were staying. There's always scaffolding somewhere, isn't there?
This is Arlington Cemetery. That's tomb of the unknown soldier. Just stop for a minute with this one, Trish. Now this is pretty dear to my heart in many respects. My father was a US Marine, and this is the statue of the Marines raising the flag on Iwo Jima during the Pacific Campaign. My uncle, he died in that battle. And it's every Marine Corps base has that statue. And I think Johnny Cash sings a song about an American Indian who was part of the armed services who were on that battle. So that was pretty special for this job. Thanks, Trish.
After we'd been there, it was quite hot and humid, and we walked to a subway, and we went up to this rather large African American fellow to get directions, and he said, "Stop." He said, "Deep breaths," because he could see we were really hot. Breathe in. And after he thought we were okay, he gave us the directions.
This is the Capitol building, which became famous on January the 6th a few years back.
Mm-hmm.
This is inside the Capitol building.
That's the yeah.
And that, folks, was our trip to Alaska and briefly Vancouver and Washington, D.C. So I guess
going backwards.
to you, whatever it is that you want to do, and feel free to have a look at the more bits and bobs we have up here. So thank you.
That's the place. Very flavorful.
Are there any questions or should?
That was the scarf I was telling you about. The silk, weaving silk. And just some little, I said that these things were actually properly made in Alaska. Oh, they do, yes.
Thanks, Steve.
No, it's good. Sometimes. Did you go again?
Okay.
Did you go back again?
Not until the next presidential election. I'm serious. They go through your stuff, and I have made some fairly complimentary statements about Trump, and I also would wonder, it seems like a dual citizenship, about being questioned around that. So some of the stuff that I
My cousin lives in the States and she's got dual citizenship too.
Yeah. Yes, no, you don't know which way things are going to go at the border. So,
You're born in America.
yes, yes, I'm born in.
How old are you?
I turned 30.
You might just have to, you have to get a new passport.
Yeah, Leanne's just had to get her passport renewed.
Yeah, Mum was a war.
It's all right if you renew it, but if you let it expire, that,
Where did you grow up?
Oh, well, he was a Marine, so we lived. I was born in North Carolina. We lived in North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Ohio.
You got around.
Because he just.
Okay, thank you.
Services trying to just come home and say, oh, we've got to be something.
So you would have had to change schools a fair bit too.
Yeah. The last place was Carolina, South Carolina, the training house.
It's beautiful. Very nice. That is lovely. Anyone got any more questions for Mark and Rhonda? And have a couple? Filled in an hour?
Yeah. Can't do 2 hours.
You can't do 2 hours?
So how, have you been to other parts of America?
Oh, we've been back a couple of times. As Rhonda said, her brother was at West Washington University up near Seattle. They did a trip from there down to San Francisco and across through the Grand Canyon, you know, like Yellowstone, Grand Canyon Glacier National Park, up to Banff, and then across Vancouver and down again. We did
That was about 6 weeks or
6 weeks. Yeah, that was good.
And the man said when we got back with our little Nissan Sentra,
You did 6,000 miles in my car. At Yellowstone, we were there the first weekend it was open. Stayed in this lodge, second floor. Yeah, it snowed overnight. I sort of walked down the end of the hallway in a shorts and t-shirt. And I thought, oh, that's interesting, and walked outside and really didn't realise it was a fire door. It only opened one way. So I had to go down the outside stairs and come back into the lobby in shorts and t.
there was a young woman there, so, you know, she was working there. She was Australian and she was on some sort of a golf scholarship. I don't know that she became famous or anything, but yeah.
The Grand Canyon, the USA.
Yosemite.
Yosemite.
Yeah. It is a fabulous country, really.
That it's a good idea, like organising your own trip. So, my son and his wife and family went over to Japan last year, and they was organised all the way. They didn't go on an organised tour. They did go on a day thing, something like that. Everything went with this all. They said if that's what they did, you know, they just didn't go see all the good bits. They went and see what they want to see. And that's what that.
It just depends what suits you, I guess.
Yes.
We don't go on the big organised things because I don't want anything very. Even on a day trip, a day tour, in the first 15 minutes, I can find someone.
No, it's all right.
It's true. Well, it's got You know, it's not the one that always has to sit up the front of the bus, or it's the one that goes walking the tour bus. Something like that. Why are you here?
Actually, one on that one to Denali, they said quite clearly, because we stopped for morning tea and they had cookies and things. And they said, if you're going to have a cookie, you eat it in the bus. Because if you go outside and you're eating, and even if you drop some crumbs and stuff, the bears will come. And this silly woman is out there and she's eating away. You know, you sort of, she got back on the bus because I told her, but you sort of think, you know, listen and understand, because they, you know, they used to have trouble with the bears getting into rubbish bins.
Well, at Yellowstone, they had a lot of trouble with the bears. They started catching them and carrying them up into the hills.
Oh. They had those special bins, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's the same down at Halls Gap. On every table, every Stony Creek, do not feed the wildlife. And what they do is they run like the birds flying around with buttons and always and all sorts. And if you're right, for some elderly couple, I was sitting on the bench because all the seats were taken and once, and anyway, the white cockatoo came and sat there. Sorry. Well, quite close to it. Anyway, so he put his pie down and he got his phone out to take a photo. And in that time, that bird picked up the pie, got the pie off some of the places and picked it up and he put it in the rubbish bin. Next minute, another bird sitting on the umbrella thing that's there with a pleasant roll, red roll. Oh, and I think sometimes the kids think, oh, this is no effect. You know, there's that many damn birds that still food there at that place. I'm telling you.
There was a scene, I think it was in our village, I think when you said to plug in off to see his girlfriend.
Oh,
But I was wondering, were there some of the houses in the
they could have been, yes. I think the ones at Vancouver were, yes, yeah, they probably were, yeah, yeah.
Like, toilets was doing sections.
Where that thing, the elevator was up there.
That was when we were there in 1988. Mike doesn't like heights.
There was this building in But oh yeah, we'll go and have a look at that. We get in the elevator and you place the front of the elevator. I didn't realise the 2 stories up, it was on the outside of the building. Oh, I've got a pacemaker now, so that's probably the reason. It was, my language wasn't good.
And he had to face the other way on his way down.
Probably because they don't feel cold very much because quite often you were in t-shirts, shorts and everyone else was.
I feel that now.
It wasn't that cold at all, though, really.
No.
And the dogs apparently don't feel the cold, they were lying down on the snow, sleeping in the snow.
Oh, they're right.
There was one place we stopped at too where they had this ice, something to do with ice, and you have to guess as to when it's going to be totally melted. That's an annual competition.
Yeah, that's right.
We didn't win.
No, there's people that entered from all over,
Yes,
all around the world.
an international thing. And they apparently really like winter because they ski and everything's frozen. Yeah, it's a different way of life, isn't it?
You were saying when we started that hot winter was there. In the cold, was it cold? Cold?
Word cold.
Different sort of cold.
Well, before I came out here, I lived for a while in Sweden. And in winter, the river froze over. And you dig and snow. So you think we could ice skate on the river if there was no wind. just, very heavy jumping and stuff. But as soon as there was a breath of wind, if you're familiar with Charlie Brown and the peanuts thing, that's how I sort of got dressed up.
I think when we went up to the Arctic Circle, it probably was a bit cold, but it wasn't, because we bought those, that big coat, and we hardly wore it. Yes. It was now, it was July. It was July that
That'd be what, the autumn or something?
no.
Summer.
I'll be somewhere really.
There's only a sort of a certain period when you can go, I think by September, that's it.
In the Arctic Circle, is there any population there in towns?
Well, it was this town of Coldfoot, but was just like an outpost sort of thing. We did stop on that trip. They stopped at a homestead. These people are living off the grid, I suppose, with their toilet down the back. But they like it. Yes.
You're surprised that you found it so warm?
Yes.
Because I was at the way up in northern Finland at Rovaniemi, which was beyond the Arctic Circle. It was absolutely freezing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was wonderful. Just going on little snowmobiles down the frozen river. Fabulous. I was actually at a job. It was a bit like driving one of those little tractors that you have
Oh,
on
yeah.
farms. And it was just, I was having a ball.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, yes. The first time we've been on the beach, that's absolutely right, it is.
No, it was because we got to where we got. Mike said, "I'm going to need some shorts." Yeah, well, there's 2 pairs of shorts.
So that frosting is with summer, the frost stays is permanent.
The snow and that, yes, yeah. I think by the time we did that flight up Mount McKinley, it was getting to the end of where they could drop the skiers off.
Oh,
Because I suppose it starts to get dangerous and melting. Thank you, Trish.
no problem. I'll turn this off then and stop the live stream.
Do you think anyone watches it? But then it's on YouTube, is
Yeah,
it?
it goes on
Yeah.
YouTube.